I always played casually. Like I played comp because I found comp more fun because people actually tried, so you wouldn't just have random levers and people
Yep.
just actively throwing. But I wasn't really there
Yep.
for rank. I started playing this because I used to main Valorant, and I sort of started playing Overwatch just to play with my friends.
Yep.
And I started down in bronze back in Overwatch 1, climbed up out to silver until Overwatch 2 came out. And then I think I just started playing comp and I just over time started improving. I think my background in Valorant helped with that, just like
Yep.
aim wise. So I didn't have to like start at zero. And I sort of started playing comp. I climbed up to plat, then I ended up climbing up to like Diamond 2, Diamond 1 with Kree. The season before his magnetic grenade got changed. I
Yeah.
still think
Yeah.
I still think his old grenade is better than the Flash, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That's
Fair.
my hot take. But but after that, I sort of started playing Tracer because I was enjoying her, and I
Yep.
deranked down to Plat 1.
Sure.
But then I didn't find myself improving, like at all whatsoever, after
When was
Plat
this
1.
again? This specific moment?
I started playing Tracer after Kree got changed. After Kree's change. I don't exactly remember when this was. This probably was around
Yeah.
summertime.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
somewhere in there. I got down to Plat, and then I just sort of wasn't improving at all. So then around September-ish, I started watching your videos, like coaching, how to improve, all
Hmm.
that stuff, and I started like reviewing my VODs and everything, and I dropped down to like gold one.
Hmm.
And at first I thought it was like that's normal, right? I'm trying new things, I'm learning new things, I'll climb back up eventually. But then I wasn't climbing for like a month and a half more. That I was just stuck down there. Whenever I was playing other characters like Creed, I started winning matches. The moment I was on Tracer, I felt like I hit a brick wall. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, so I just booked a coaching session.
Yeah. Okay. Makes total sense. So just basically picked up a new character and trying to like actually improve. Now, how long have you been working at Tracer, trying to apply yourself to improve at Tracer?
I started like mid August, just like actually trying to improve. About like early October, I started watching your videos and fully trying. I started doing 1v1 tracers with my friend who I queued with and all that stuff. And then I took about November time came and I took a little bit of break from Overwatch because midterms and exams rolled around and I just
Uh huh.
focused more on school. And then the break came and went by. I started playing near end of my break, so I've been playing for like 2.5 weeks now, and
Hmm.
I've been playing her less. I used to just like 100% only play Tracer. I'll now play Tracer with other characters, but yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Why do you think that you've hit the plateau there? I think like you talked about like trying to be a little bit more PMA and more productive and educational with your approach, but
Yeah.
you've kind of womped out in terms of the execution. The question is maybe you don't fully understand this, and that's probably why you're here.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if you have any guesses or questions as to why that is.
One, I think there's like two simple factors to it. Is one, I think like I got from the videos and the understanding that I took from it was maybe not like I didn't internalize it the exact correct way. I'm assuming maybe my experience with Valorant because I do have a lot of time in Valorant. I was like fairly decent at Valorant, so I feel like some of that comes over. But I think one of the other factors was just basically school. All my classes always ended around 6:30 to 7. I was usually tired
Mm.
after the day, and like I put in effort and everything, but I just wasn't at like full capacity to do so.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, then you're also playing a character with a relatively high skill floor, even with your first person shooter
Exactly.
background.
Yeah.
Like you talk about, like Tracer, like Cassidy. It's like you Cassidy's is not
It's just
easy to
point and
play,
click.
but he's
It
simple,
feels like
right?
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically the positioning. Like the positioning theory is really simple compared to a lot of other characters. Like you just kind of take short to medium range off angles. The abilities aren't
Yeah.
complicated. So now you're like, okay, I'm not only tired, which I think is definitely the most important factor, but I'm trying to learn some crazy new character and you're flopping around. So
Yeah, exactly. Like, Tracer feels like every time you play Tracer, you're sweating every time. Where if like I
yeah,
hop on something like Kree, I can sort of just play. You know.
yep, 100%, 100%. So your expectations. I'm looking at your form here. Your goal is the intention of eventually reaching masters, but obviously with the skill floor of Tracer, like
Yeah.
that will eventually improve, and you'll get there eventually. But the reality is that you're kind of dealing. Is your situation changed with your fatigue and when you're playing? Because that's the most
This
important thing, really.
semester for me is I have a lot more days where either I have like an 8 a.m. to like 2, and then I get home early, or I have classes later in the evening, so I have time to play earlier in the morning if I want to.
Okay, so you have
Yeah.
more open time windows than you did before.
Yeah. Like last semester, Monday to Friday, all my classes ended at 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
1 to 2 hours a day, obviously at the time of the form. But even if it's still 1 to 2 hours, it's going to be better hours in theory.
Higher quality hours, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any questions about any of that scheduling stuff? It sounds like you're already pretty familiar with what I'd recommend and what is optimal.
Scheduling for me, not really. I feel I need to be more consistent. I find I go in waves when I play. Like I'll
Yeah.
play Overwatch for like a lot for like 2-3 weeks, and then for like 2-ish weeks I'll barely touch it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not
Why do you think
too
that is?
consistent. I find I find another game I really enjoy. That's what happened to me during the break. I was planning to play a lot during the break because I have a lot of time, but I got into RuneScape a little bit, and then halfway through the break, I got into Path of Exiles 2 that recently came out, and I just got extremely addicted to that, and I was only playing that, so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like where you're gonna have to kind of play with is like follow
Yeah.
your motivation and don't. I wouldn't say like let your motivation be or lack of motivation be a motivation in of itself. Like I'm not feeling motivated, therefore I need to try harder.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Like, but I think at the same time, like it is a video game, right? So, what I would say instead is ask yourself, am I whenever I'm playing Overwatch, am I getting fun out of it? Am I being productive with that fun? And then is there anything that I could be doing in terms of the way that I'm approaching the game that could, like, for example, like when I talk about like hero pool, for most people, a lot of people don't enjoy having to fill in flex, and so they don't enjoy it, and it's also holding them back from improving. So there's like no upside, right? So for you, it's like, is there anything, whether it's with your warm up or when you're playing or how you're playing, that is not really providing any sort of value and isn't really all that fun? You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I think
that's
that's kind of like the question.
That's sort of the thing that actually got me back to playing Overwatch back from Path of Exile 2 is
Yeah.
I just launched up Overwatch, and instead of like playing my go-to heroes of Kree, Ashe, Widow, Sojourn, Tracer, I just picked Pharah just randomly just to have fun. And I got addicted to Pharah. I did really well in Pharah. I was doing really well. I was really enjoying her, and that sort of hooked me back into Overwatch a little bit.
Sure. Maybe that's the thing, right? Like when you say, like, are you more addicted to the idea of being good at Tracer, or are you actually addicted to playing Tracer?
Being good for me, that's the thing. Whenever I play video games, especially competitive video games, my driving factor is less so to be good, but not to be bad. Whenever in matches, when I like when I lose matches, sure you'll have the random thrower, the DC, but it always feels like, yeah, my tank could have done better, my support could have done better, but at the end of the day, I could have done better.
Right.
You know, that's sort of the driving factor for me.
Right. Do you feel like that means that you're more risk averse?
I don't feel like it. You mean risk averse in what sense?
Well, as in, if your goal is to not be bad, then you might see opportunities that you need to take or that you could take, but you never really go for those riskier plays.
I find I have the opposite. I always go for the risky plays to try and do something, get the team moving, and then I end up actually just failing at doing so.
Right.
And that's where I'm usually mad at myself for like either in hindsight attempting that because it was an awful idea, or for just not being good enough to pull it off.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
In terms of where you're at right now, in terms of what are you enjoying and right now with your play, with your application, what is it? What hero is it? How much? You talked about playtime being a little bit more flexible right now. What's your motivation like with Overwatch as a whole, and what heroes are you enjoying?
I think the reason like I'm enjoying Pharah, but I've sort of went off of Pharah because I think my honeymoon with it ended. Is I really enjoy characters, especially like in matches when I take 1v1 duels, where it's an even match between you two, but you win it, where you were better.
Yeah.
And that to me just brings the satisfaction of it.
Yeah, makes total sense. And is that where you're at with Pharah right now?
Pharah, I feel I found just the getting direct hits extremely satisfying, or having like the 1v1 air duels with another Pharah and just 1-2ing her, not even giving her a chance, mid-air hits, and just the satisfaction of being better than someone for me is like what drives me more to play competitive video games.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So where are you at hero pool wise? Is it just full out Pharah, or is there Tracer still around? And I'm even seeing occasional Winston play here as well, at least at the time of the forum.
I play tank occasionally. If I play with a buddy of mine, I'll sometimes fill tank. If I play tank, I usually play either Reinhardt or Winston. I enjoy both a lot. But I mostly play DPS if I play solo queue.
Okay.
My hero pool currently for solo queue is mostly, I haven't really touched Sojourn too much, but it's mostly Tracer, Widow, and Kree. The occasional, like, I'll play Ashe occasionally if like nothing seems to be working for me.
Okay, sounds good. So where does Pharah kind of come in, or was that just a brief window of fun and then you kind of moved on?
Farah, I'll actually, yeah, I forgot about the Farah part.
Yeah.
I'll fill Farah sometimes depending on the map and on my mood, kind of thing. It's like if I'll have if I see a Mercy queued up before I even like chose a role, I'll pop a Farah. Sometimes like I'll be playing into them and I'll see they have no hit scans or they just have a soldier and absolutely nothing else that can hit me. I'll swap to Farah,
Okay.
that kind of things.
Makes sense, but beyond that, primarily just kind of playing around within the hit scan characters.
More so, it's just sort of like what I'm feeling the day, but mostly hit scans, yeah.
Okay. Mostly hit scans, couple hours per day, a little bit more on the weekends. Do you have a warm-up routine or a warm-up schedule?
That one varies, but my warm-up is I will queue an unrated match, and during the queue time, I will go into code.
Yep.
And then when I queue, and after the warm-up match, I'll generally play the character I'm aiming to play that day, or just like a hit scan character, so the skill will be more transferable. And when I queue for a comp match, I'll also hop in a training code.
Okay. Makes sense. So generally just like quick play match plus some code training. What code is it?
It varies. I pull a tracking code from online that I don't have copied right now, but I also use a code called Vaxta.
Yep.
VAXTA by Seda. Same guy who does the 1v1 arena, yeah.
Yep, familiar with that. Okay, that works for me. And that's probably, I guess, what, like a 15-20 minute warm-up most of the time? Maybe a little bit longer?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, fair enough.
And some mornings on the weekends, if like I'm really feeling it, I'll open up Aim Labs to do like some in-depth half-hour, 1 hour training for like.
Yep, makes sense.
Stuff, but
makes sense from. Okay, sounds good. And that works for you, I assume.
Yeah.
Yep, seems good. Okay, let's keep going. And how consistent are you with that? I guess would be the question.
I feel I find it fairly consistent. I feel like that's a habit I got back from Valorant, because in Valorant to get to like Immortal, I've touched Radiant in Valorant before.
Yep.
You need to warm up. You need to be consistently warming up. You can't just drop cold into a match because you will be losing.
Right.
So that's just sort of a habit I've had that's carried over.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. So my only concern with where you're at right now in terms of your goals, which is like more Masters, Grandmaster, two things. It's like, obviously, like right now, training time isn't there. You don't have a ton of training time,
yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah, the real my goal is like I want to be able to touch Master, but if like I take a break from the game, or if I'm playing casually, my like base skill floor would be just like diamond-ish.
Yeah,
I want to bring my
got
skill
you.
floor up. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so I mean, I would say like from where you're at right now, which is plat, yeah.
Yeah.
We could probably squeeze more value out of your schedule and stuff. I think the biggest thing for you so far, my biggest concern is that there's definitely like you're a mixed bag when it comes to hero pool. Not that you're necessarily playing too many heroes right now. I mean, 3 heroes isn't terrible, especially with how similar they are in some facets. But for me, it's more like it seems like you still haven't quite decided where you really fall, right? You're like, I like Tracer, but sometimes she's hard. I kind of always come back to Cass because that's a character that clicks with me, literally.
Yeah.
And then even like the whole Pharah thing, like I respect it, but like it doesn't seem like you have like a clear identity of where you're at. Now, to be fair, that can absolutely change from month to month. You just don't want that changing from like day to day or week to week. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would just put priority on like continuing and chase and pursuing fun, right? Like that's the big thing. Pursue fun, pursue for fun, because that's what's going to make training productive and make training fun. Let's keep going here. I play goals we talked about already. Kind of knowing where your floor is. I'd like to be like let's just put it this way. I'd like to be 10% better than I am right now.
Yeah.
You know, right? Yeah. You know, like let's just say that. Okay. That's what I'm hoping to get from this session. I'm not really sure what's holding me back. Is there one major thing that is holding me back, as in my timing is just garbage, or is there a little bit of everything? Okay. You were looking for concrete goals and concrete ways to improve, not just do this more or do that, but like what is actually the difference here? So for like structure and schedule, concrete things is, like I said, finding out what your identity is with heroes and what pursuing fun and like your relationship with the game. That's the number one thing for sure.
Okay.
And then beyond that, I think like, you know, your warm-up's fine. I think that like your playtime is going to be fine because you're getting a couple hours in most days. I think that's totally fine. The only concern would be like how much of that is solo queue competitive, right?
Okay, yeah.
And again, you just have to change your expectations based off how much of that you're getting. Okay. Let's get in some gameplay, unless you have any other questions. I don't really have any other questions for you.
I'm good, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look here.
Are we doing a replay or live?
Totally up to you, mate.
I'm down to do live, I'm down to replay.
Let's start with at least a little bit of replay because I think it's easier to do live. Even if we don't get a chance to do too much live today, I think it's easier to do live when you have an understanding of kind of what I'm looking for in gameplay.
Replays. I'll actually put in the match I just played. I feel like it was a good match. How do I send codes again? Sorry.
That's fine. So are you in my stream right now?
Yeah.
So you just go to career profile, go to history up top here, go to replays tab on the left, click on whatever one you want, and then at the bottom click share.
Oh, I see. I didn't see the share button. I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. It's okay. There's a lot on your screen.
Creating. Here we go. I'll send it to you.
Got it. And then we'll take a look. So you said this was your most recent game?
Yeah, I just played it.
All right. So what about this game you think is worth reviewing?
I feel like I had good plays in it. I had some... I want to say about 2 deaths that were complete idiotic mistakes that were just like laugh at it kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I feel like I had a bunch of mistakes that I can learn from and like study, you know? So I feel like it's a mixed bag of everything, so.
All right, let's take a look here. Circuit Royale. And is this Tracer all the way through, or do you swap around?
Yes, Tracer all the way through.
Tough map for Tracer. Yeah. Definitely a tough map for Tracer.
It's been better after the update, but...
So are you familiar with, I guess, my system for Tracer? I don't know if you've seen it in my coaching sessions. No problem if not, but I don't want to be redundant here. Are you familiar with that?
You can go over it again.
Sure. Okay, so basically the concept is really simple. You don't worry as much about target priority. You don't worry as much about who are you going for, when are you going for, what. It's basically just you want a short range off angle, and then you want to pressure from that short off angle, and that's pretty much it. So, my team is in this lane. I am on this side lane. It might be a deep flank. It might be a short off angle. It might be shooting tank. It might be shooting backline. It doesn't really matter all that much. Just take what the map provides to you. And then once you're on that angle, you want to utilize your blinks and your mechanics to be able to apply pressure from that angle. So for me, it would be like you start here, you're going to shoot here, like let's say the Windmaker turns and peeks you here, but then how am I going to use my blinks versus this Windmaker? I'm going to blink behind her. Yeah. Am I going to blink through to this next angle, shoot her from behind here? But I'm always pursuing that short range off angle. Now, why Tracer isn't good on this map, this is probably the worst map in the game for Tracer, is because... Very linear, right? So there's not a lot of side space with which you can work with. So you're going to have to do the best that you can. This is really going to push yourself to your limits. So that's all we're looking for, and we'll take a look here. If you have any questions, just let me know and we'll pause.
Okay.
Sure. Nice commit. Occasionally you'll see opportunities, he can just go for it. But this is kind of what I talked about with the short range off angle. I know a lot of people that would be unhappy doing what you're doing, and I think doing what you're about to do is also fine as well. But there's nothing wrong taking a side angle as Tracer and shooting a Sarissa, because there's not a lot of DPS that could do that safely without getting picked. And that's kind of what Tracer brings to the table.
I feel like that's the one thing I internalize most from your videos is don't play Tracer like Sombra, where you're going for the backline. Just go for the backline if the opportunity's there.
It's what the map gives you, right? It's always about what does the map give you right now. Now, I want to caution you about what you're doing right now, not necessarily in concept, but in execution, because the one difference with what Tracer can do really revolves around your resources. So if you go back to what you did here, you broke the rules. You broke the rules.
Cheated, yeah.
You cheated, right? But you could cheat because you saw an opportunity and you had the resources for it, right? Yeah. So you're familiar with that concept. Here, I'm much more concerned about this action here because of the state of your resources right now.
I should have waited for the recall.
You probably need to wait. Well, not even necessarily wait for the recall entirely, but like 2 or 3 seconds. Get that third blink on board, right? Like at least to where you can have some time to juke here. So I don't hate this. I think you're using cover very well here, and I think you do all, but just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind.
Okay.
Yep. Good use of your blinks. Good stuff. And now you've created space. Now the next step is where's my next short range off angle, because obviously this is neither short range nor is it particularly an off angle, right? So you tell me.
I think I do it fairly well. I actually blink past the Orisa to take a angle here.
Yeah, it's fine with me. Fine with me. What if this opportunity had not presented itself? Like what if you had I'm trying to think of the best way of looking at this. What if you were unable to go this far, or what if they had somebody like parked back here, or honestly with you, what if the Ana had not been 1 HP to begin with?
I probably either commit to blinks to cross, or I just wait for my tank to walk up so I can only use one blink to cross to that other side.
Yep, absolutely. You could even use your rotation to get to here, stabilize for a second, hide, shoot, and then go from here to continue to rotation. You've got options. But yeah, this is good. Aim is a bit jittery. I know kind of what you're doing here, but there's a lot of kind of...
This was my first match on, so I was a little bit still, but yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Next angle.
This was a dumb death. I thought I was a little bit more right and hidden from the Widow, but
yeah, I got you. It happens. Sure. Sure.
Probably
a little
pulse there.
Yeah, it's fine that you don't. Like right now, you're clearly focused on your movement and your mechanics, so it happens. You know, it's all right.
Here, dumb play. I thought my recall was up. It wasn't.
Well, yeah, and that's it, right? Like it's just one of those things where it can make sense if you had the resources. I mean, even if you had one more blink here, I actually think you can get the skill because you can blink back through here, or even just blinking to cover entirely. But you didn't quite have it in time.
I tried blinking, but I got stuck and I missed my blink there, yeah.
Okay. Short angles here are few and far between, especially with that infosight, so you got to be patient here. This is definitely one of the situations where...
Yeah, this is one of the situations where, like, I just didn't know what to do, and I sort of got panicked and just didn't do anything and ended up dying.
So what given the power of hindsight and now that we're in a nice calm environment here, what do you think?
I would have stayed left there just by that stairwell if I had, like, a couple blinks, try and... take an angle at the same where Brig is standing, where I died last time. Try and like flank around or at least get an off angle on them.
So if you had the blinks, you would go one and then kind of live back here.
Yeah.
Yep, I think that's pretty reasonable. My other choice, if you don't have the resources, especially with infosights right now, is you just kind of stay here.
Just stay there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of play the game here and mark the angle. It's infinitely safer, and there's also more pressure than where you're at right now.
Yeah.
It's like what ends up happening is like honestly probably your most egregious death so far because it's not like one that I'm not really sure, like you could tell the panic and like you're just doing random crap, right?
I'm just doing stuff.
You're just doing stuff instead of being very deliberate with how you're setting up, even patient, right? Either patient or aggressive, and that was neither.
Yeah.
Again, it feels a little like you're tunneled on doing things. I think it's more revolved around pulse here. Maybe you tell me.
Yeah, I was looking for the pulse opportunity.
Yeah. But the first thing has to be set up, right? And you've got a couple of choices here. Where you go?
Either go with the Sigma.
Yeah.
Or I could have just crossed the field back to that old spot by the stairs.
You got it, right? Heck, you could have even started to rotate from underneath if you'd like to and gone from there. Yep. But I think from where you're at right now, yeah, that's the simplest solution is just blink through and set up your angle first, right? The first thing with Tracer is always to put yourself in a position first and see what happens. That's what you did here. That's what you did here. That's what you did, frankly, even when you blinked through the Ana, you got to here really quickly, right? And then you kind of saw what happened. Okay. And again, you've prioritized your position first here. And so this, in theory, should feel good. And it does. Sure? Good stuff. Okay. Sure, this is fine.
This third point got a bit messy. I played not great on this third point.
It happens. It happens. We'll be specific, obviously, when we see it, like what doesn't look good, but yeah. Yep. Good patience. Push back out. And really, this is kind of like you want that angle. She wants to stop you from taking that angle, so you're going to have to win this 1v1 because there really is no other angle to take. You need this area to be able to access backline, so... So this is where we're going to get into the micro things. And I think this is where so far, with a couple of positional errors, this is where I think you've been struggling the most. Which I know
I struggle as well on
Yeah, I know you've got the CS background. I know you've got some aiming background here, but I think there's going to need to be more some tracer specific stuff. So like, for example, here, I don't hate this blink because this is, look at who's looking where and where she's looking, right? Yeah. This is an advantage that you can leverage.
But there's just no cover, really.
Well, I don't think even that's as much of an issue because you are playing cover in the duel right now. You see it? Like, this is fine. Like, this is a very much isolated 1v1, so you need to win the 1v1. This is where our problems start to arise because of this. Where she blinks and you do a drag. when she blinks, and this is just a good general rule in Overwatch, when anybody moves themselves aggressively on you, you need to respond with movement, not with aim.
Okay.
Because you are never going to win that, no matter how good your mechanics are. 9 times out of 10, right? So like that immediately puts you at a disadvantage, not because her mechanics are better, but because she used a blink and you didn't. So then you use a blink, but then she uses another blink, and then you use another blink, and then you kind of lost the duel. Now, it's not the end of the world because she's not getting supported, but this is not the resource efficiency that you want. This is really hectic for you. You're going to get recall force. You're going to have to get forced out. This is a mess, right? And a lot of that starts with when they move, you blink, require.
Okay.
Require. Okay? Really, really important. Sure. If you see another opportunity, you don't have to force on the Tracer. Okay, let's keep going. Sure, this is fine. Yep. And this is really where I think your mechanics start to become messy. I feel constantly watching you a sense of nervous energy or urgency that's unnecessary. That I felt it with the Tracer 1v1. I felt it even going back all the way to the very first fight when you were fighting the Sojourn Mercy up top. This here, I don't think that you would look at this and say this is a good representation of what my mechanics are capable of.
Yeah.
I like the blinks, right? And I even like the pause there, but that is a mess of a clip, right? And so the question is why? You know, we could talk psychological reasons here, or we could talk bad habits or whatever. I want your input on this one.
I do remember this point is I didn't know where the Widow was at first, so I was sort of like careful coming up to her, sort of because it sort of sounded like she was on the second floor, but she wasn't. So I didn't know if she was here on the right or she was by the pillar kind of thing. I didn't want to like peek into her like aiming on me or something.
Yeah, I understand.
I guess that's part of it, but the rest I think is just practice. I guess at some point.
Yeah, but the question is what do you need to be practicing here?
I guess in my mind, when I'm aware I'm going to go for a duel or this sort of play, just get in my mind that it's okay if I lose them or if I don't perform. Just do it. Let it happen. You know, don't overthink it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could even go even deeper than that, like into the micro of this, right? For example, be very attentive to where the enemy team is looking when you're shooting, right? For example, right now, what do you see? She's not looking at me.
So then how should you be moving? How should you be shooting?
Just walking towards her. Walk
and relax, right? Take your time, right? You don't even need to one clip her. Just get a good chunk of damage in. Just relax, right? Like there's a lot of panic here that just feels unearned, right? Given how relaxed you should be in the situation. And it's actually once the duel like really starts to get cooking that it feels like you actually kind of start to relax and focus yourself back in. So, I've seen that a lot. Remember the Mercy clip earlier, right? Like, you almost lost to a Mercy with a bunch of blinks and a recall and no other threat in the field, and it felt like you were nervous about it. Like, just relax. Shoot your shot, you know? Pause your clip, whatever.
I feel like what I do is I end up focusing too much on my movement, and my aim is just trying to catch up to it.
Sure, and when you say your movement, what do you mean? You mean you're strafing?
Like, I'd say 80% of my thought process is more going towards movement, and then just a little bit is going towards aiming.
And I understand that, but again, I'm going to push you on that. What do you mean movement? You mean blinking or do you mean strafing?
Strafing, just like trying not to get
strafing.
Hit.
I got it. Okay. And so that might be something that you can kind of keep an eye on. Maybe that's where CS is kicking you kicking the cheeks because like that doesn't right now. Strafing is completely irrelevant, right? Not that strafing is not relevant for Tracer overall. I mean, obviously it is in certain situations, but like I don't see the value in what in this clip here, or even with a Mercy, right? More important was your aim, and more importantly was your blinks, right? Heck, when you look at like what the value of strafing in Overwatch, it's not even broadly useful for the hero cast, right? Like if your strafing is useful versus a Cassidy or versus a Widow. But versus, like, let's say that you're playing versus, I don't know, a Soldier, Mercy, Sigma, you should be avoiding strafing, or should be longer strafes because of the projectile nature of their shots and so on. So it feels a little bit, like I said, it's actually a pretty good recognition from you because we talked about jittery, right? Overemphasizing these rapid strafes inappropriately is probably why. It's probably why this feels so jerky. Yeah, this fight's lost. It's all right. Okay. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
I want to kind of dissect, not that I'm obsessed with the micro necessarily, but I think if we could look at the micro and we can give you some specific things that you need to do, then that might be useful. Sure. Honestly, take the duel, I think. I think I know what you're thinking. It's a triple blink pulse bomb, right? But like, take the duel, right? Earn the angle, or heck, even if
you're gonna see
but see, even if you force a tracer out, what if you earned here? You see it?
What if like stayed there? Yeah.
Yeah. What if you get here? Like, go for the pulse bomb from this angle instead, right? Like you talked about, like earning the space.
I do something really bad here.
I mean, I saw the vision. I mean, this is not something that I would be thinking about either, the vertical reach of Orisa ult, right? So probably not something that you're used to dealing with, okay? Let's be honest. But to me, the problem is more of the fact that why? Like, why would you do that, right? Like, what would be even the point, right? I mean, honestly, if you were going to double blink anywhere, double blink to here, you know, with a little bit of support, maybe a Harmony Orb. I don't know. Maybe you just lose a Tracer Duel there. Regardless, use the angle, take the space, don't force the triple blink pulse bomb. And that's the second time that's happened. Remember second point with the Brigitte, right? Yeah. Same kind of principle. Pulse bombs on your brain, and so pretty much everything else goes out the window. Okay, let's keep going here. It's fine. Should be okay. Okay, let's take that space and let's go. Oh dear. I think you're expecting more cover there and you didn't get it. That happens.
Yeah, I think here I sort of never reset my mindset from like the panic, and I end up just dying here later.
Yeah. To be fair to you, like I said, like I think I saw the vision. You know, I saw the vision. It wasn't a dumb decision. It just wasn't quite what you thought it was. And the panic again, right?
Yeah.
A lot of panic. A lot of panic. At least this game, right?
Yeah.
A lot of nervous energy. And again, I want to point one thing out as well. Not just the pulse bomb. Look at your clip on the Mercy. It just feels so autopiloted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it starts off good, and then she moves, and then you just keep shooting the wall, right? Again, I don't think that's a good representation of what you can provide mechanically. And what I mean by that is when you're locked in, relaxed, focused on what's actually on your screen, I don't think that's what you do. Sure? Great example of, like, I mean, obviously you gotta be careful, but a great example of, like, short range off angle can mean anything, right? You can even just shoot tank, right? So you're avoiding Widow sightlines and so on. Okay, let's keep going. Now, any questions so far?
Nothing in particular currently. Here, for example, when I know they're gonna go play Widow, do I take this angle, or should I sit on that ledge on the other side, knowing Widow's likely gonna be on that side?
Here's the question.
Give me more value.
If you go on the ledge, can you consistently get out?
No, 2 blinks that I need minimum to probably get out safely.
I think, okay, so this is where I actually disagree with you, but recently. I think you can now, but only because that, you're like, I'm screwed, right? But only because you actually have this room now.
True.
So I think what I would do is I would experiment more with this and see how it goes. Can I consistently, like, use this doorway to go 1, 2, and live? Or do I still get caught like I used to, right? So the answer is, I don't know. Experiment.
Okay.
I actually think even this angle here is worth experimenting with, because in theory it's like, there's no connection to here, which really infuriates me. But hey, you know, you've got the connection through here, you've got some access to backline. You know, give it a shot. I think this is fine. This is worth trying.
Yeah, I think what I do here is fine. It's just I feel like my mechanics at this point in this next little section sort of made me not get too much value out of what I did. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see, is the execution bad or is the idea bad? Even here, right? Relax. Like, she doesn't know you're there. Do you see that little jerk? And you're like, it's like the second you see her, you got to get that clip out immediately. That is the ugliest skin I have ever seen in my life. What is that? It looks like a horrific fan mod.
That is a rare, probably, at most, the blue.
Yeah. So in terms of how you're rotating here, I think it's fine. I'm just so annoyed at the clip, right? Just a mess. Okay. This is good. I really like this adjustment from you. This is really good. Yeah, good stuff. I mean, good rotations here. Yeah. This is perfect.
And then
Nice. I mean, good. Really good awareness. Like, you felt like you were aware of Ryan. You were maybe not perfectly aware of Widow because you do kind of swing, but you are thinking about her in the back of your head. But then you're also, okay, speaking of ugly skins, what is the enemy team's like? Okay, it's like Ong from Avatar tried to grow his hair out in his teenage years. It just didn't work out so well. It's pretty bad. But yeah, honestly, like this is, in terms of rotations, pretty good. Pressure from here, rotate from here, apply pressure from here, go here. Realize I got skunked, quickly abandon, use cover from here, then rotate inside from here. Like, I'm this is not an easy map to do this on. So well done so far. This is really good.
Lose track of her. Then I think there are the doorways next to me, blink into the wall. And
Yeah. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. So my major thing here is more of a micro thing. I think you needed to get the heal passive to kick in a little bit more, right? So just there's no real rush here. Just give it like an extra 3 seconds, get the 45, 50 HP, and then shoot out. Here's another spicy take. You ready for this one? Do you need to blink here?
The Widow was there. Here?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily, no.
You hear her footsteps. You see that? What does that tell you?
That she's not scoped in.
That she's not scoped in. So you're going to turn and you're going to shoot. She's going to scope. Then you're going to blink.
Fair. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So this is kind of like, this is what I'm asking for you to put thought into. It's like, you know, when really kind of goes down to when can I relax and focus on my mechanics and when do I need to be focused on movement? With Tracer, most of the time it's movement, but there's been a lot of times, like 7-8 times in this VOD where somebody doesn't know that you're there or is distracted or whatever, and they're not even looking at you, and you act as if you're facing you're facing peak ons on Widowmaker. Like he's just gonna blow your head off every single time. It's like, and what's happened is it's not just the fact that you're giving them too much respect and you're wasting cooldowns. You could feel the frantic energy in how you're aiming. Like this is just like very spray and pray, right? And I want to see a lot more calm. Like even here, blink here, and I want to go right behind you, and I want you to watch your hitbox. So watch this. Even if you did blink here. Hard strafe, big jump, get directly on top of her head, and then recall out. Why? Blink, do, if anything, a slow strafe, full clip her head, and then use your next blink, and then go from there, right?
Yeah, that is the thing I need to improve, just my frantic moving around unnecessarily.
The frantic strafing, and it just feels so stressful. Like, and the funny thing is then you don't move when it is appropriate even, right? So it's like, it's wrong in all the wrong ways. So, for example, here, you don't know where she is, you lose her. You're screwed.
Yeah.
If this is peak ons, you're dead here, and yet you don't blink.
I think that was just slow reactions for me at that point.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is what is the enemy team doing and how can I respond to it? Because blinking is oftentimes a pretty reactive ability. Okay. I like this.
Here is just a very dumb death I do.
This is tough, right? Because Widow's got a glint on you, and you don't really have a lot of movement here. In theory, this should be 50-50, so I mean, this is fine. Like,
it gets worse.
Oh yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Yeah.
What about the situation puts you ahead of this Tracer in the duel?
My positioning.
Right. So what about this situation feels like you have an advantage that you could push on this Tracer? I guess is my question.
I think I knew the Widow was up there. I think my goal was to blink behind her to where I had cover from the Widow, but I was also behind the Tracer, and I just messed up my blink, hit the wall, and it was standing in both of them.
Sure. But the question is, who's actually winning this duel right now? Do you have any reason to push your advantage here?
I don't. I'm shutting her off from my team, and that's value.
You're actually losing the duel here. Well, that's great. Look at that nice replay bug here. Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, this would make sense if the Tracer's at 50 HP. You get what I'm saying? This doesn't make sense. You're forcing a duel instead of holding the corner, so you take a risk. And then also, even if the Widow wasn't here, I still don't really see the value here. Unless you've heard recall, right? You heard recall, push your advantage. You've heard 3 blinks, push your advantage. But she's fine, right? She's fine. You have no information on blinks or recall, and you pushed. So I think even without Widow, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
Nice. I don't know how to describe this, but this last clip on the Tracer here is one of the better clips that you've had this game, even though you missed most of your shots, because it actually feels like you're looking at what's on your screen.
Yeah.
Look what happens here. So you jump over her head, and yet you actually I mean, that's pretty good crosshair control. Like, you jump up and over, you flick around behind, and then you even have the wherewithal to kind of blink out there. That's the kind of, like, it's funny because this fight's, like, clearly lost. I honestly feel like if that's part of like, the play, like, you have no expectations now, you're like, us, we're screwed, we're gonna die, so might as well just see if I get Tracer, right? And all of a sudden, you're, like, actually kind of locking in mechanically here. Like, things are looking a little bit more fluid, so,
yeah, that is an issue I struggled with in Valorant as well. That was a big thing for me. I would not be a consistent player. And the thing I noticed is the matches where I did really well in and performed were matches where I wasn't focused at all on my own gameplay in a sense.
Yeah.
But I was more focused on what the enemy was doing and reacting to it, and not like my actual mechanics of what I as a human physically am doing.
Yeah, it's like you're spectating and just kind of like, well, the decisions are being made for me. I don't have to be a wizard or a genius. I just have to do what, you know, whatever they do. They're the ones making the choice. There's no expectations. Now the question is when you have given yourself, have you given yourself goals before? In other words, have you gone in and gone, this is what I'm practicing, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, that's the thing I was talking about earlier. It's like, I've done that, I've tried that, and I just felt like I wasn't improving. That's why I did book the coaching session. Yeah,
sure. What kind of goals what are some skills that you've tried to work on?
My two main ones have always been positioning. I find a lot of times I do die is just bad positioning, or like I get caught out.
Okay, and so I'm gonna be a turd here. What about your positioning?
Just awareness in the sense of a lot of times my positioning in my head, it felt like a good position, but then I'll go look back in it and replay, and there was just not a concrete single thing that was good about that position in any world.
So it was just bad in all fronts.
Yeah. So just trying to improve that.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, I think the goal here, if nothing else, is that you learn, when possible, being very specific would be useful. Like, I think for you specifically, if I were to talk about your positioning, I think you've done a really good job playing short angles. I think you've done a really good job with that. I think what you've not done a great job is your positioning. You don't think about your positioning when pulse bombs on the play.
Fair.
So I think that you actually have decent understanding of what you need to be doing with positioning, especially for your rank. But when there are other factors, like there's pressure or especially pulse bomb, you tend to kind of cheat the system. Okay. For you mechanically, I think there's a lot of pressure and jitter with how you move and how you strafe, and I want you to be a little bit more deliberate with that.
Okay.
And then I also want you to be a little bit more patient and deliberate with how you're planning out my blinks and duels. And we'll get more of that. But I think like that's kind of like, I want you to be cautious about like diagnosing, I need to work on my positioning, be more about like what specifically about my positioning. And when I don't have good positioning, why? Right? Like what, you're not an idiot. Like you understand, like I'm not even, like, you're not an idiot. Like you're actually really smart. Like some of your positions have been really impressed, right? With how you've rotated. So then when that doesn't happen and you just have these stupid deaths, what's the root cause of that? You know, I'm not going to Freud you out, you know, like we got to go back to your childhood here and unpack all your childhood trauma. But like, it is really strange sometimes how you go from being really high level with your positioning to being really, really low level. And we need to find out what's causing that to happen.
Okay.
And even from like a mechanical standpoint here, like why was that clip on Tracer so thoughtful and deliberate, and why have so many other clips on freaking Standing Still Mercies been so freaking bad, right? Like
it boils down to that the Tracer one, I just wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't focused on the clip itself, and I just let myself do it.
Right. So there's two ways of doing that. One, don't think about it at all, which is easier said than done. Okay.
Yes.
Or two, do think about it, but don't think about landing your shots. Think about the habit that you're trying to implement. So for me, that might be trigger discipline, crosshair placement, looking at their hitbox and not think about how many shots can I hit, but can I track their hitbox as good as I possibly can.
Just treat it as a training session, warm-up session kind of thing.
Yeah, well, right. Every duel is just, I'm not really worried about getting the kill. I'm just going to see how many shots I can land on her hitbox, no matter how many times she moves, right? Or even like going back to that Tracer 1v1, I'm never going to like let her juke me with blinks. I'm going to juke her, right? Like that's, if you go into it like that's, you'd be surprised at how many Tracer duels you'll win just off of that. Like, not even thinking about your aim.
I'll be trying that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll be more deliberate with some of our stuff once we get a little bit more footage. Let's keep looking here. Like, man, this is just another one of those situations where I think I don't know if it's like pulse. I know you're up a few here.
I'm here to touch point because they're about to cap.
Oh, I'm dumb. I thought they were to cap. Professional coach, by the way. Let's see here. You notice the jitter still as well, right? Like it's so jittery. Now I understand why you're jittery here, 100%, right? But
yeah.
And I think this one was okay. Like, you go to peek, she quick scopes, you don't have blink yet. I mean, you probably should not have peeked, but like, we're not aiming for Grandmaster here, you know? Like, we're just aiming to... That's one of the less egregious goof-ups that you've had. Pretty good pulse bomb attempt there. Okay, this is one of those moments. What's the issue here? Not here, but what's about to be the issue?
I'm blinking into just a group.
That's it. And I'm gonna give you some slack, and I think it was Tracer pushing you from the flank. I hope it was, because otherwise there's no reason. Let me listen. No, there wasn't. There was no reason. It was actually Tracer pursuing you, but you didn't know it, right? So this is, you could see the frantic energy with even how you're moving. Like, this is kind of like that the Widowmaker attack on third point, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's looking at you. Hold the button down. Just keep shooting. Like, I love this rotation from you to get to this point, and you are going to get that blink forced by that Tracer 100%. But, like, again, that's hindsight. We didn't know that, right? And this is this is the representation of that habit where, like, you're just kind of moving for the sake of moving. Just shoot. So for you, with your movement, it might simply be, I'm going to practice moving in response to the enemy team giving me attention.
Yeah, don't try to predict it, just react to it.
React to it, right? Hold the angle and just keep shooting. Because take all the positional work that you've done and just shoot from those positions until shown that you can't. That's the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, you're trying to, I mean, Ryan's clearly locked in on you, so you got to move. So, yeah, it's fine. Okay.
What is that melody?
Yep. Again, no complaints from me positioning-wise. I think this is definitely worth the long rotation because you're just going to get shot by Widow if you do anything here, so this is totally fine.
It sounded like she's beneath for me.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
This is one of those moments, again, where the blink usage is just really bad. It starts really good because you're like, blink out, she's here. Now I know. I shoot. She turns, she starts the SMG. You blink through. Good. Now what should you do?
Just shoot at her again.
Just shoot. Relax. She's not looking at you. If the Mercy whips out that... God, that Mercy skin is so ugly. I can't even... It's actively distracting me. So yeah, just reload and keep shooting, right? Just keep shooting. You've earned it, right? You've earned the right to keep shooting. It's almost like predicting the blink, but the problem with the prediction is it's not always bad to do this, but... It is bad when it's your last blink, right?
Yeah.
Like, make her earn it. And then the problem now is because you do it so predictively, you see the problem here, right?
She already turned around by the time.
And now you don't. Now you can't actually juke anymore, right? Now you can't even juke anymore. If you see a lot of high-level Widowmaker Tracer play, that's why they don't spam their blinks in duels. They focus on the enemy team moving, the enemy hero moving. But there's a world here. There's a world here of this where you blink here. And she turns to look at you and scopes, and you don't even blink. Instead, you just 80-80 strafe because you really want to buy an extra second to charge back that second blink. More of a niche situation. I don't want you to overthink about it too much. But I guess my point is that I want, whether it's with your strafing or whether it's with your blinking, you're deliberating off of what they give you. And otherwise, you just shoot. Again, I don't have any problem with this positioning here. This has been really good. The rotation was good for the information that you had. I don't even mind the position to sit here and wait. They don't have the mobility to chase you. They're not going to give you respect. Okay, so then you're going to take the space. But, okay. I like this rotation, too. Make her think about it. New map thing, but I probably would have quickly rotated to here, to be honest with you, because this door is actually fairly useful for you. Just kind of a new map evolution thing, so just to consider. Again, you see that blink? Why? Well, like, she's not even looking at you. This is a little far. This is tricky, though, because you're, like, whip shot. Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good fight from you setup-wise. Could have been a little better, but honestly, not too shabby. Okay. Yep. You're probably going to get contested here now. Yeah, that's what I was looking. It's a little slow, but you did the right thing. You realize, oh, correct. She broke my legs. I'm going to break hers now. And so then now that makes her uncomfortable. I think the mistake here is it's the pulse bomb again. You're like, I gotta land this pulse bomb. No, you cannot lose this tracer duel. Because what's this tracer doing right now?
She forced me out.
Right. Well, actually, no. She did. You gave it to her.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You gave it to her, right? You actually did a pretty good job. Like, you've got mini control, you got defensive, and I understand. Like, it's not saying that you have to do the discipline thing only, but there's nothing on my screen that says free pulse bomb. You need to win this duel, and now the Tracer's going to be shooting in the back.
True.
So now this is how you get your recall forced. So I don't hate this angle. Ooh, you need to be careful about the Widow there.
And then Ryan comes in and...
Okay, let me look at this. Let me look at this. You see the lazy clip? Right. This is fine. You just gotta finish that clip. Yeah, just continue shooting, right? The blink is good. The blink is also relatively good there because you do respond to her turning her crosshair. I mean, this is a good start, right? Oh, gosh. You see it? Just shooting the floor. The blink was actually pretty good here. She starts to shoot. You blink. I mean, obviously a little bit of an unfortunate death from you there, but I actually want to compliment your blink usage this engagement. This is really good. This is the best blink usage that we've seen from you this entire game. Nice job. Clip management was terrible, right? And,
yeah, that was awful.
And right here, you know, I think you were like, oh, she's low, and you kind of, again, you feel the panic. You actually were fine here. You blink once, she's gonna blink again, you blink again. I actually think you can get
still going.
Yeah, I think you can kill her. I think you might die no matter what you do here, but I think you get a trade. I think you get a trade here because you honestly just dunked on this Tracer in the 1v1 minus your aim. You just completely outmoved her. So yeah. Again, the angle was pretty good. Again, you can just feel you're so locked in on that pulse bomb. You know, the irony is that you lock in so hard in the pulse bomb, you never even get it off.
Yeah.
You know, so do your due diligence here. Let's keep going here. Any questions?
I'm good so far. So far.
I'm really trying to put this under the microscope so we can get something juicy for you to go and work with, but definitely feels like being more reactive with blinks, being very disciplined with your clips, not just the spraying and praying and the strafing, but sometimes you just throw a clip at a wall, right?
Yeah.
You just throw a clip at a wall, being deliberate with everything that you do, and then Pulse Bomb really pulls you out of your comfort zone. Really pulls you out of your comfort zone. It's like exacerbates all the mechanical issues that we talked about earlier, and it also makes your positioning bad. So that's definitely something to work at. The good news is I think that when you're really locked in, you have the capability of moving well. I think when you're really locked in, you can track relatively well. We've seen less of that, but it's okay. And then your positioning, honestly, has a lot of good things to say about it, especially in a map like this. Like I think that right now, your angles and your patience and shooting Ryan and shooting Tracer and finding opportunities to go for Widow, it's been really the best thing about your Tracer gameplay and is, I think, much better than the Platinum rank is showing. The problem is that some of the other things are much worse than the Platinum rank is showing. And I think that's the difficulty here. Okay. Yep, totally fine. I mean, they're just giving it to you for free, right? And then you're like, well, they've backed off really far, and now I could just shoot Sigma for free in the back. And it's a tiny far, but you get a little closer. This is good. This is good. Yeah, this is really good. He's gonna die. Yeah, that's perfect. Well done. Really, really, really well done. Careful. Feels a little early from you. Just again, given your resources and given where your team is at right now, like this is not a very clean fight. Your Winston does follow up, but that needs to be the other way around, right?
So
just kind of, just hold the angle here and be patient, right? Just hold the angle, be patient, and kind of wait for your team to walk forward, and or your tank to walk forward, and then go from there. That being said,
like you keep going.
No, you finish.
It's like in a situation like there where I was shooting the Mercy and then she dipped and then there's just a Widow posted up. I feel like what happens to me is like I'm sitting there and it just, to me, it feels like I'm not getting any value and I need to do something.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, that's also the nature of Widowmaker, right? There's the pressure of like, she's just going to headshot my team, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that's going to be you here, in theory, right? Where it's like you're the one that needs to just kind of wait for your team to take the action, and then you complement that action, right? The problem here is that you're down 2, and or the people that you have are pushing cart. Like, you can't be pulling resources right now. You just need to trust that your team is not going to peek the Widowmaker for the next 10 seconds, and then you'll be in a great position to keep going. And also, if the enemy team tries to push up, you're going to kill them. Like, if they walk up here, they've crossed into your territory, and you have my permission to shoot them in the face, right? You just have to trust. Like, you just have to trust. It's not always going to be rewarded, but this is like, the problem is always like, I'm scared that my teammates are going to make a mistake, and then you go make a mistake. So this is just not great. Now, I will say, the way that you play this in terms of your positioning is really good. You blink in the open, you're going to get shot. You blink through, this is where you need to be, right? We've seen this before, right? Remember with the Ana, the very first fight, or the second fight, right? This is good. To be honest with you, I think you could have blinked deeper. I think like this, when you're here, you could have just blinked back here and then blinked into here and just held back here if you'd like to. But honestly, this is, regardless of that, I think this is like appropriate. It's not a problem, and as long as you think about what's the next step, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is it. I mean, congrats. This is, again, a real strength of your gameplay here. This kind of stuff. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's look at the clip here. I think it was a decent clip. Yeah, you know why it was a decent clip? Because you didn't freaking jitter or blink or do anything stupid. You just shot her in the face. Like, you stood still. She did. Why? Because she wasn't looking. She's not looking. Use your advantage. Go for it. You earned it. Yeah, just keep shooting. Now, you have blinks. You have a tank directly in front of your face, and there's a little bit of last fight here. I think this is an okay time, maybe a little early, but this is an okay time to do what you're doing right now. Because as opposed to the last time you did this, right here, there's actually something going on. So this might not work mechanically, but in terms of strategy, I'm a fan.
Okay.
Yep, this is good. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, good stuff. I would gatekeep this backline instead of falling forward. You just have to trust. You have to trust. Because look at what immediately is filled as soon as you leave, right? Brigitte walks forward, so. Good try. Oh, there you go. We take it. All right, I'm not gonna lie with you. Great fight. Really nice fight. Good movement. Rotating from here to here to here to here, kind of playing around the enemy's attention. Mechanics also, for whatever reason, felt a little bit more, maybe it's just later in the game, you're a little bit more warmed up. Overall, your tracking looked a little bit more comfortable, a little bit less rushed and panicky. Good job. Good job. I mean, the results don't speak to it, but I mean, they built some ultimates. You guys just didn't have it. And, but yeah, this was a good fight. This was probably the best fight that I've seen from you fundamentally.
Oh.
Good stuff. The question is I mean, maybe, again, sometimes you play good, sometimes you don't play good.
Yeah.
But the question would be, was there anything different about your headspace at that point in time? Maybe not, but it's worth considering. It's worth considering.
Yeah.
Maybe you just felt more comfortable about what you needed to do.
Yeah, I think it's just I warmed up a little bit more, and I was thinking less about the aim and more about the game.
Sure. Makes sense. That might be something that you want to consider with your warm-up routine. If you find yourself thinking more about your aim, then your aim routine isn't cutting it. It might. My first recommendation would be looking at how much like unranked versus any other options that you may have. Whether that's, I mean, you've probably heard me sing praises of like 8-player free-for-all deathmatch or tryhard or whatever's available. Like if those are available, that's about your best option for Tracer. But okay. Again, there's just no rush, right? I think that's kind of goes back to that when you were here. Remember?
Yeah.
And there's no rush. You being here is space.
It's pressure enough, yeah.
It's pressure enough. Nobody can take the space. The Widow's compressed with where she can go in. And guess what? You can keep shooting, right? You can shoot that Ryan a little bit. There's just no reason for you to do this. Because not only should you have died, but now, if I'm a Widowmaker, I can push you out now. Like, I just turn on the corner and SMG, yeah, right? So you're no longer controlling that space. And I think you know it. So I think the idea of the angle is fine, just there needs to be more patience. Oh, the air.
I just shot the air. Yeah.
Just shot the air, the full clip. And you notice that it's not an accident that happened after an unexpected reposition and almost dying.
Yeah.
This is fine. Oh my days. That was really close.
Be nourished.
I mean, my guy just went right through you. So, yeah. I don't hate this. You had the resources for it.
She got a Moira orb. I recalled out.
Yeah, you got triple blinks. You got a recall. Your angle isn't great. It's a shame that you were unable to blink with your third blink into the door frame. So, like, from here, blink into here, because then you can actually stay, right?
Sure.
But honestly, the idea of what you did was fine. That's a good clip.
This.
Okay, so I'm gonna ignore this for a second because I don't mind the clip, but my major question is it worth chasing this far when you don't have recall? I wonder if you should just sit here.
True.
And listen, right? Listen. What could you do with 3 blinks from here, even without recall? With the information you have, you don't know where Mercy is, but you know Widow's here, you know Ryan's above. What could you do with 3 blinks?
I could go high ground. I could go anywhere with 3 blinks.
Anywhere,
honestly.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
You could go high ground and pressure patiently from back here, especially with this door. Well, actually, can you even blink here? I don't know. You could rotate to
into
here.
the window, you can if you jump.
Okay. You could rotate into here. Talk about gatekeeping Widowmaker, right? You could keep Widowmaker and Mercy basically busy by yourself. I don't like chasing into your backline. If this is because the Tracer didn't have recall, I get it, but she did. I don't know what you saw about this that makes you want to chase it outside of, oh, I can get her, but no, not really. Like, I mean, I don't love this choice, right? 1 blink, you know. It kind of feels very similar to what you did here, where you just push the Tracer, and I don't know why. Like, there was nothing about that said, oh, Tracer's low, you know? Like, you're just like, I'm going to push the Tracer. And, you know. Wait, I'm curious. I have to see. Look at that professionalism. Didn't even pause. Just kept going. Another day in the life, you know? All right, let's see how you rotate here. I mean, I have so much confidence in you here. Like, I really do. I have so much confidence you're going to go up those stairs. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's textbook, right?
Yeah.
It's good. It's really good. And see, here makes a little more sense because you're already kind of on this lane, right? So, and obviously here you have the full resources. You know she doesn't have full resources here. So you're going to get that recall. And then, to be honest with you, I kind of just want you to go right back upstairs again, right? Yeah. I mean, cheeky, but she's low and you got re. I love this too. I mean, honestly, I think you should just sit here and make the Widowmaker think about it a little bit. You know? And then, okay, I'm gonna get 2.5 blinks. 1, 2, you know? You got options here. I don't hate this, but I don't see any reason for you to run. You know? Yeah, I just have so much confidence in your ability to rotate in position. And I think you did really an exceptional job on this map, and you should feel really proud of that. The question is going to be, so let's take some notes here. So let's talk positives here. So positives are going to be your ability to position angle appropriately on short sightlines, at least on the map we reviewed. Keep up the good work. I mean, it wasn't perfect, especially when Pulse On was in play, but really, really strong. And I think also target priority. Very flexible with who you wanted to shoot. And looking for opportunities when you had recall triple blinks. It's not something you always have to do, but if you're like, you know, I see somebody isolated, I can go for it, or they're 1 HP. Yeah, totally. Like, really, 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 really nice. Okay, things to work on. What do you got? And I want you to be as specific as you possibly can. Something that you could go into game and practice no matter what they're running, what comp it is, what map, etc.
2 things for mechanics when I'm aware I'm in a Tracer duel. Less focus on, like, aiming mechanics, just focus on reacting to her blinks.
Okay, I'm gonna step in right here. Not Tracer duels, all duels.
All duels, but like specifically as a specific case scenario in a Tracer duel, don't let her blink behind me and me try and aim it out, like you said.
On reacting to their movement with blinks, trying to Okay. What else?
In just generally when I'm shooting, don't focus on the aim. Just focus currently specifically on clip management. Because if I just focus on the clip management itself, it'll maybe allow me to put less emphasis and thought on actually aiming, and that'll allow me to be less jittery.
Mm-hmm. I think this is actually something that you can practice, like force practice on, you know, just like force yourself to pause mid clip versus mobile characters and realign your crosshair. If it makes you feel any better, like, I mean, and you know this as well, this is not necessarily a skill that you learn and that you don't have to do the better you get. Like, this is how high level tracer works. It's constant pauses mid clip, constant pauses mid clip, realign, pause mid clip. I mean, that's 90% of why blink melees and melee spamming S tracer is a thing. Because you don't finish your clip and reload, you'll pause your clip, blink melee, then shoot the rest of your clip, right? Or you'll blink, shoot melee, blink around, shoot again, blink. You know, like there's constantly like kind of weaving in melees because you're not shooting and reloading constantly. Like you might have one reload every 2 blinks half the time. So that for you, it feels a lot like you shoot, you reload, you blink. You shoot, you reload, and then you blink. And then it's like, you don't have to shoot your full clip. Okay. And then in duels in general, be more patient, reactive to what with blinks, with the attention you're actually getting. React. Don't predict. Obviously, kind of more of an elaboration more globally off of what you said for Tracer. Yeah. Okay. Trying to think beyond that. I think for pulse bombs, play your game. Let the pulse amplify your value. Don't completely shift your mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good rule for, honestly, a lot of characters, really. I think there's a couple exceptions. I think Cassidy is one of those exceptions just because you're so range limited, right? But you get high noon and all of a sudden you could snipe, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's just a good general rule for most characters to be basically yourself, but better with the ultimate most of the time. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions or any other points that you think that we missed?
I think I'm good. Can't think of anything right now.
Okay. The key thing is going to be the energy and the intensity with which you're going to be able to apply these concepts, because I think like you could pretty much, minus the Tracer specific one, go into any game that you play and just deliberately work at these things over and over and over again. And again, you're not as concerned about winning duels or aiming better. It's about building these habits and doing them over and over and over again to where like they happen